What's up, you guys? It's Sir Scrub here, bringing you some more Scrub Tier Yu-Gi-Oh! Before we get into today's video, please leave a like and subscribe and let me know what you think down in the comments section below. With all that junk out of the way, let's jump both feet into this. So today we're going to be talking about how to beat prank kids. Read the fucking cards. That's it. That's the whole video. Wait, you're still here? You guys actually want me to do a video on this shit? Fine. Alright, you guys know how these how to beats work by now, but for those who don't, this is how this video is going to go. Firstly, I'm going to break down the strengths of the deck from that deck's perspective. Then I'll tell you how to beat it when you go first, and then how to beat it when you go second. Now that all the exposition is out of the way, let's get this over with. As you guys can probably tell by now, I am not looking forward to this one. But personal bias aside, prank kids are a unique archetype that has some legitimate strengths, and if you sleep on the deck, it can absolutely ruin your day. This deck is mainly focused on two things: its grind game and turboing out its boss monsters. This deck can use Prank Kid's Battle Butler as a Raigeki during the opponent's turn, providing some pretty decent disruption, as well as the main strength of the archetype being its mechanics. You see, all of Prank Kid's monsters tribute themselves as costs, so you can't use things like Effect Valor or Infinite Impermanence as Chainlink 2 to respond to their monsters, making it to where the best counterplay options have to interact with the graveyard. But as a Prank Kids player, you can chain block your monsters to protect the most valuable ones from things like Ash. The thing about the main deck monsters is this: when they get used as a material, either for a link or fusion summons, they float into another monster of the archetype, giving the deck some rather useful speed and ability to spam out some powerful extra deck monsters. As well, when getting ready to go into time, the deck can very easily change the life point differential by 1500, allowing the deck to snatch some wins. Without further ado, let's look at some ways to combat this deck when you go first. So when going first against this deck, it is surprisingly weak to a hell of a lot of floodgates. Of course, it cannot be overstated just how much Rivalry and Gozen fucked this deck over. And this, I'm not really going to spend so much time talking about them because they're kind of obvious, and you guys know me by now. I want to talk about the weird shit. Soul Drain is basically a skill drain against Prank Kids. If you can play it, Macrocosmos is another way of just shutting the deck down, since they have to go to the graveyard and activate in the graveyard. Soul Drain prevents them from activating in the grave, and then Macrocosmos they just don't go to the grave, period. However, neither of those are really for every deck. However, Called by the Grave is a great way of stopping the deck, and is one of the best ways to disrupt it. And considering it can also be used defensively to stop hand traps, it's really great, and a really generic way to help stun this deck specifically, but also just a good staple card in general. I would also suggest using an Artifact Engine if you've got the room. Using Artifact Scythe to just straight up shut down the extra deck. Stunning it for a turn will give you plenty of time to OTK the deck, or get you into a resource advantage if you want to go into the grind game. It also allows you to side deck Artifact Lancia easier for the Thunder Dragon matchup. Another powerful card against this deck is Silent Graveyard. Using this card to just turn the graveyard off for a turn will have this deck running out of steam quickly, and will probably leave them on a subpar turn 1. And of course, if you can make Abyss Dweller, it's basically the same thing, just in a rank 4 form, as well as giving you 2 turns instead of just 1. That's all I've got for going first. Let's take a look at going second. So when going second, there are several ways to play into the boards commonly built by this deck, as well as several instances to drop some hand traps. Firstly, using Ash on Prank Kid's place can stop a potentially crucial search, and Ash doesn't really have much of another use, so go ahead and shut down the place. You could also simply drop a Kaiju on whichever boss monster they make, preventing it from having the chance to tribute itself to get its effect triggered. Evenly Matched also deserves a mention, considering it's one of the best cards for going second, especially if they overextend. Using Winter Cherries to snatch just about any of the extra deck monsters out can be a great way of slowing this deck down, and specifically snatching the boss monster from the extra deck can kinda make the match pointless. Ultimately, the best way to break through this deck is monsters with a lot of protection and attack values. Using an Invoked Engine to make Kaitis can make the Prank Kids matchup a hell of a lot easier, though the boss monsters can't beat over this specific example. For like Draco players, you can use your Metaltron 12, stuff like that. Stuff that have big numbers and are hard to kill. Waking the Dragon targets, stuff like that. But that's all I've got for this video, you guys. This is a relatively easy matchup. When you know what you're doing against this deck, it's really not that bad. Again, it's not something that you need to sleep on, because if you don't prepare for it, it will beat you. But there's a lot of things that you can use that are better against other matchups that can work against this deck. If you want to see more content like this, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, feel free to share this video with a friend. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below, and check out my social media in the description. But most importantly, don't forget, be a squirrel.